Welcome, 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 you beautiful people on this fine Friday. As you can tell, I'm hyped up. You know the vibes. I came in strong. It's a nice, beautiful day out here in Mexico City. I hope everybody's having a great day. Man, I absolutely look forward to these spaces now. Every single Friday is just like, it just sets the tone, man. It sets the tone for the rest of the weekend. And I absolutely love It's become kind of like a ritual over here at Window Kids. And today we are with the legendary, the only one, the transitory mask, aka King Creed, aka Mike. This dude, man, let me tell you about this dude. So this dude just went ahead and decided, yo, I'm about to do a comic, but I'm not gonna do an ordinary comic. Let me just get like 80 plus artists to come and help me out with this comic. Like, bro, who does that? You know what I mean? That's crazy, but I absolutely fucking love it. And that's what this is about. But yeah, before we get into all that good stuff, I want to let you guys know my name is Andrew Lyko. I am your host for today, just like every other space, and I am the founder of Window Kids. I am also a full time artist. I've been a full time artist for the past 3.5 years. I've done quite good for myself, if I don't say so myself. With very to little no experience to selling about, I want to say, close to $300,000 worth of art. So, I might know something, one or two things here or there. But this space is not, it's not about me today. It's all about Mike and what he was able to do in this space. And so I really want to get into his mind and kind of get to know him a bit, really pull back the layers, get his perspective on things. And I want to know about his experiences, you know what I mean? So, Mike, bro, will you do me the honors of saying what's up to the people?
Yeah, what's up, people? How you doing, Andrew?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You can tell, like, I absolutely love these spaces, man. It's a vibe, and I
I love it.
yeah, yeah, man. And like, I think everybody who comes and tunes in and kind of just kicks back for this next hour because we really chop it up. Like this space is very organic, like I've mentioned before. It's just one on one with me and you, the creative, and we're just having like a talk about art, a talk about life, kind of like sharing your experiences and to see if I relate with any of them, and then we can kind of give some feedback and some insights to the audience listening in. So I hope I got that intro right, man. Let me know what you think.
Hey, man, it works for me. Sounds like a good time.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. So let's start off here, man. Like I really want to pull this way, way back, as a kid, right? I want to know kind of like your environment. I really like to build up that story to see what influenced you in those early days. So if you want to go ahead and start there, that'd be great.
Yeah, good question. I feel like, throwing in that word, like, what was the environment like? Like that really, like, puts a different spin on it, Like, I mean, I had a good childhood. My parents were very, like, supportive and, good, good people as far as they could go. We didn't have a lot of money, like, at all. We were basically poor. I mean, we were poor. So that, like, I think that is where a lot of my creativity like really stems from, because like we couldn't just go buy whatever we wanted, so we had to find ways to like fabricate things, or like if I wanted, I don't know, I can't think of an example now, but like, okay, I got an example. So I had like a little like Super Mario doll that I got from like 7-Eleven or something, right? But I wanted a Luigi doll, but we couldn't just go buy whatever we wanted. So like I would like dye the red parts green and like turn it into what I want, like it was just kind of like creativity was like a necessity.
I love that, but first off, like, really, bro, you picked Luigi over Mario.
Any
I
day,
mean, to
every
each
day.
their own, but I get, all right, I guess. Nah, but I totally I totally get what you're saying. It's like the creativity allowed you to kind of make your situation and turn it into a different one. Not necessarily like a better one because I wouldn't say like getting that doll. I mean that toy that you didn't want, like switching the colors, like that big of a deal. But you in your creative mind were like, yo, let me go ahead and just paint it then. If I can't buy that one, like F it, I'll paint this one. So that kind of already shows like your personality.
Yeah, and I mean that's a really like low stakes example of that, you know. But like even when it comes to like preparing like food and stuff, like uh, I don't want to eat the same like bland shit every day, so you make do with what you got. You know, you can do a lot with like soy sauce and strawberry jelly. You know, like you just got to get a little wild with it.
I feel you, man. I feel that. And when you really sit down and think about it, think about like how powerful that is, right? To be like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and change this up because you thought outside the box. A lot of people they tend to run into like some type of issues. It's just like, oh damn, okay, I can't do that, and like that's it. They don't think, well, if I can't do it this way, maybe I can do it that way. And for you to have that at such an early age, I feel like that really kind of sets the tone for like the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. That like make it work attitude has like really pulled over into like, me owning a house and having to fix shit up around the house or even just like in my art, like having some sort of like creative constraint really lets me like flex something that, sometimes I didn't know I had.
Absolutely. And where did all of this take place? Like, where were you born and where did you grow up?
Virginia, United States on the East Coast. Pretty much lived in this state like my whole life. I haven't moved very far.
And are you currently still there?
Yes, sir.
Nice, nice. And you said you have a house now. Do you have kids, wife?
Wife, no kids yet. Yeah, we lucked out getting this house, man. Like we somehow accidentally timed it at like the bottom of the housing market, like right before the pandemic. The house was listed wrong. I mean, there was and still is a lot to do to fix up on this house, but like we seriously lucked out getting this one.
Wait, hold up. Define listed wrong. Like what does that mean here?
Honestly, man, I don't know all the details exactly. It was a lot to keep up with. I'm not super familiar with like housing market rules, but it had to do with it being listed as is, I think. That like those just two words like qualified it for like a certain type of loan, which we were able to get. And then like less than a year in, we were able to like refinance it from that loan to like a better situation where we're not paying like what is it called? It's not the insurance, but like I can't even think of the word right now. But there's some bullshit where like your money's basically going nowhere, and we were able to get that off the loan.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right, so I mean, the reason I asked is because I kind of like to know. You said as a kid, your parents were pretty cool. They didn't have a lot to give you, but it seemed like they kind of gave you your space to kind of become whoever you wanted to be. And so I ask about your current situation now because I want to see like how does your wife, for instance, how does she take all of this? You being a creative and you doing all these type of different things that necessarily is not like normal. So is she very supportive about it? Like, how does she feel about it all?
Yeah, a lot of it's not normal, I guess, but no, she's super supportive of it. Yeah, I mean, not only are we able to like kind of work together to like fix shit up ourselves. Like our kitchen, we like fully remodeled it ourselves, right? Like we didn't want to like take out another loan to pay for like nice countertops. So we just bought a bunch of like 2x4s from Lowe's, planed them smooth, uh, glued them and wood filled them together, stained them and like cut them down to size, made our own countertops. So like, it kind of works out and we work as a team and, yeah, it's she's very supportive. It was actually in our wedding vows to like always support each other's hobbies. So yeah, Totally on the same team there.
I'm gonna have to take note of that. That's going into my vows. That's a definite need that. Man, that's great, bro. I'm really glad to hear that you have a partner that supports the things that you do. Because again, like I said, a lot of the stuff that we do, especially in this space, is very confusing. I can see how a lot of people out in the world can get very what's the word? Not understanding of it. If yeah, I think that's the best way I can put it. And so it's cool that you have like this environment to kind of allow you to create. Now, do you have like a studio at home? Do you have like a room, like a certain setting that you sit down and work on your art?
Not really. When we moved in here, we set up one of the rooms upstairs as sort of like an art studio sort of thing, but it's really more of just like a storage room. Like it's a shit show in there. It's a mess. So I'm not really in there like ever. I pretty much just post up at a table in the basement, and that's where I do like all my stuff. Like that's where I work 9 to 5. I work from home, and then after work, that's where I work on my art, whether it's painting physically or digital painting. I've got my tablet set up there. So yeah, not really. I mean, there's a space for it, but no, I don't really use it.
Ah, bro, I mean the basement sounds lovely. Like I used to live in Arkansas, and we used to have like this like attic type of spot, and it was cool. It was small, but it had like that old school, like I don't know, it's just something about it that felt really cool. So I was like, yeah, this is my studio. It was just like a super small little upstairs, but it sounds cool. So you said you do paintings as well. Which one came first? Did you start digital and then transition to painting or vice versa?
I mean, physical. Like when I was like little, I was painting. Like the technology and really the accessibility to me for like digital work wasn't really there. Um, it came around kind of later. Like in high school, we had access to like early versions of like Wacom tablets, which was pretty cool. And my parents kind of like scraped together to like get me one as like a graduation present, which was pretty sweet. But yeah, for the most part, it was just like mediocre physical paintings for a lot of my childhood, just kind of like just going for it.
That
Round of
was a
applause.
clap for your parents, by the way, not for your mediocre paintings. Just putting that out there. That's sick, man. So do you? Oh wait, first of all, are you a full time artist or you do this like part time? What's like your current situation with everything?
Yeah, I work full time as like a web designer, so it's still like a creative adjacent pursuit. But no, I don't do art full time. Just pretty much all my free time. I don't have much of a life.
Yo, I can imagine, man. But yeah, like you said, web design is definitely a creative suit as well. And so let's talk about your comic, bro, because I think it's pretty fascinating. Like, I want to know, when did you first have the idea, and then like how were you able to execute to be able to get like 80 plus artists to join in on this project? Let's start there.
Yeah, so I can't pinpoint the exact like time the idea came about, but it did kind of come from like me feeling a little burned out and like seeing some other artists burned out in like the as like the bear market really took hold. And like an artist trying to like work his way through like burnout and like reconnect with his passions is kind of like central to the plot of the comic. So that's where the like idea for the story came from, and then the idea of like including as many artists as I could kind of just naturally sprouted from that. I mean, I wanted to try to support as many artists as possible, even if like it doesn't like rake in like a ton of cash and I can't like pay them all the money in the world. Like even if it fully sold out, I wouldn't be able to pay them like a ton of money because there's so many of us to split it between. But the real payoff is seeing like the connections form and like seeing them like introduce each other to new collectors or like come up with new projects and work with each other on that. Um, which is really like, you know, what one of my big goals for it was. So yeah, I just put out an open call to artists, and I think like 94 people signed up, and a few of them had to bow out for life reasons. But yeah, ended up with 82 total.
That's insane, man. And how were you able to kind of like oversee the project? Like, did you give them like some type of creative direction, or were you just like, I don't know, just do that? I've no like I asked because I'm over here thinking like, how would I do that? You know what I mean? And it can get I can imagine it can get very overwhelming very quick.
Yeah, I mean it was definitely a little overwhelming just trying to like disperse information to that many people because not everyone prefers the same like channel of communication. Like some people like Twitter more, some people like Discord more. So I kind of had to like split the difference and make a group chat and a Discord channel. But I got really lucky with like all the artists that did sign up. Everyone was like super receptive and like really chill and really easygoing and agreeable. So they were all like amazing to work with. But the way I sort of like excuse me, kind of kept like the wheels moving was just by giving them like as much creative freedom as I could. So what I did, like I had written out the story, and then when I knew how many artists had signed up, I broke it down into like that number of panels. So like there were 94 artists originally, so there's 94 panels in the comic. And I just broke down each idea I had in my mind for the panels into like a written prompt, and I sent those out to the artists, the prompts. So they didn't know like the full story, because I didn't want them to be like too influenced by what other people were doing, by what I had imagined. I wanted them to kind of take it, run with it, make it their own. Like I had originally planned on telling them even like dimension sizes for the panels, but I ultimately just like said, nah, screw it. Like I'm gonna let them do what they want to do, and I'll make it work in the end.
That's smart. Yeah, I like that because a lot of us have either projects or some type of group, right, that we're either in or have started, and so it's there's really no right way to kind of like keep an audience. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, and keep them indulged and want to be around whatever that you're doing or building. And so, maybe give us some insights about that. What do you think are some of the best things that have kind of worked for you in terms of just getting people to want to be a part of whatever that you're doing?
Um, I think just kind of like, I mean, I don't know, like being myself, I guess. Like naturally, I want to see other artists succeed, so I try to support people when and where I can, whether that means like collecting their art or just like hitting them up in the DMs, leaving a comment, dropping a retweet, just kind of like, making those connections. And yeah, so I think when the time came that like I wanted to kind of pull these people in, see if we could do a big project together, like people were just kind of excited to do it, you know? Excited to get to know each other better, excited to work with me. I was excited to work with them. So it just kind of worked out.
Yeah, you were like the glue to all of it. That's really dope, man. And how long have you been in the space before you kind of like set that notice that you're seeking artists to do this project?
Let's see. I think I joined uh, January, February of 21. So a little over a year, almost 2 years now.
And how has your journey within this space been? Like what kind of stuff were you creating in the beginning as opposed to now, and how did that shift?
Yeah. So like the full like first year I spent kind of just like reteaching myself the like fundamentals of illustration, right? I kind of went back to like stuff I had tried to learn from in college because I had to take a few like Art 101 classes for a degree in graphic design, and just stuff I'd been interested in just like in life leading up to that point. So the whole first year, it was a lot of just like illustrative, semi-abstract art as I kind of like, got comfortable with it again. Um, but comics is like I've always really enjoyed. Um, I wasn't able to get like my hands on a lot of them as a kid, but whenever I did, I like really like soaked them up. I'd like wear those things out, I'd read them like 80 times. And I always wanted to make my own. So around like I guess like December or January the following year, like this year, I was like, you know what, fuck it. I want to do comics. I'm gonna go for it. Like, what's the worst happen? And it was pretty warmly received. So I like stuck with it, and I really like doing it. So fast forward a few months, and here we are.
Yeah, man, the journey's crazy. Sometimes it feels like it's going so slow, and other times it feels like it's just going way too fast, and you're over here just like, dude, like I'm just trying to control the ship. But so 80 plus artists, and you just when did this comic drop, by the way?
When did it drop? I think it dropped on Monday. Yeah, it dropped Monday, about 4 days ago, 4 or 5 days ago.
And the site is dope. I really like because I went on it. Jay had he copped the comic, he copped the NFT, and so before this, I was like diving into it, and it's really fucking cool, man. Like there's segments where he has like even music playing, right? And it's like you get the scenes, and then you get like the music in the background. And there's also sections that has like these kind of like environment type of sounds. It's like it's really putting you into that zone, when you're reading it, and it's just so high quality produced. Yeah, it's just very impressive, man. So congrats to you on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so sick, and I try to be humble. I wouldn't usually say that about my own work, but because I'm basically saying it about 81 other artists, plus our dev, plus the other people who worked on it, like I'm fully confident in saying like this comic is really, really dope. So yeah, I just let the artists kind of do what they wanted. So some of them wanted to do animations, some of them wanted to include audio. I see DJ and Ghosty down in the audience that like it's on like the first page of like the narrative where like you hear just like the sounds of the city like from outside of the music hall with like the sound check and stuff. Like she just did that because she wanted to do that, and it like really set the tone leading into the story. Um, so yeah, I think just like letting the artists do what they wanted to do resulted in the best possible outcome.
Now, where can people go ahead and cop it and go check it out for themselves? Because I'm telling you guys, people in the audience, you guys need to see this. Like, it's fucking dope. It'll spark some new ideas for you, guarantee it, just based on like the level of quality that it is. I'm impressed, man. Not gonna lie. So let the people know where can they find it.
Totally. So if you go to my profile, you'll see the pinned tweet. I see Lyco's actually pinned it to the top of the space here. There's a tweet there. It has a link to a Metaplex platform where you can mint the piece, and then there's also a link there to dissonancecomic.com, where once you have an NFT from that mint in your wallet, you'll be able to access the comic in full, and see all the art, all the audio, all the animations, all the story in like sequential comic book format.
There you go, people. Got the tweet pinned to the top on Jumbotron. When you guys have the time, go ahead and check it out. I'm telling you, it's you're not gonna be disappointed. Now, I know you just dropped this, bro, but with that, where are you heading now? Like, what's next? Because I think if this was the first time that you orchestrated a project like this that involved that many people, it kind of shows what you're able to handle in a form of just being able to collaborate at such a great scale. So not a lot of people can do that. And so yeah, I want you to kind of rethink about that because I feel like that opens up a lot of opportunities for many different ways that you can go towards. So have you thought about that at all? Or is it just kind of still very fresh?
I mean, a little bit of both, right? Like the way my mind works, like I'm always like thinking of like the next two or three projects, like before I even finish what I'm working on, which like, maybe isn't the most healthy. Definitely leads to some exhaustion here and there. But
To be fair,
no,
we
like
we all do it. We all do
I
it.
know.
We're all human.
I hear that all the time. Every time I say it, someone's like, "Yeah, me too." But no, I mean, there's been some like collab projects that kind of have like been kind of thought up and brewed within the group of dissonance artists. I see Silo down there. He came up with this project, this collab project, and invited me to be a part of it. So I've been working on that. A few other collab projects with some other artists. Brandon Mullins just dropped a comic as well. He invited me to do a variant cover for that. So yeah, in my mind, I think the next step from here, even like within like the Dissonance universe, is smaller collab projects. I don't think well, I mean, I know we haven't decided on a like definite next direction for this project. There's been some talk of like a sequel, but how that's structured is TBD. But one idea that I've had a few different artists kind of mentioned to me, like independently of each other, is kind of splitting into like smaller teams and producing like multiple comics at a time, which would make it more manageable, right? Because I still have to disperse funds to 82 different wallets later today. So like that in itself is going to be like an hour and a half long task. Um, but yeah, just working on smaller teams will, I think, allow for like more in-depth discussion about where the art goes, where the story goes, and how kind of like administrative things are handled. So yeah, I think personally and within that team, I'm looking at smaller collab projects for a minute, and then I'll get back to some like solo work that I have cooking.
I love that, man. You see what happened there too? It's like you came in with this project, massive ass project, in a different way because it is a comic. And from that, you start to see, like you mentioned, other artists come to you and hitting you up with ideas like, "Hey, how about we do this now and break up the groups into like this and kind of see what what direction that leads you guys to." And so you kind of just started this chain reaction, and all these different artists are now like coming up with their own ideas, and that's something that I really love about this space because I've seen it happen over and over again when somebody comes in with like something kind of fresh and new, and instead of having all these other artists kind of like biting and just copying the work straight up, they either get involved, right? They either get involved or they branch out in different ways to kind of like expand off of that idea. And I think that's one of the reasons I really love this space because of that. Because I always see creatives kind of get together as opposed to just competing, and that's not easy to do. It's like in reality, us as humans, bro, it should be the other way around, just based on how the world is. But for whatever reason, in this space, I've seen a lot of companionship of just like really just want to create off of each other.
Yeah, I love to see it, and I love to see it right now because like as liquidity kind of tightens up, there has been some like people feeling like it is a competition, like it's me versus the other artist. Like, how do I get the sales, right? But I think when like we all kind of like work together, we do sort of like yeah, build a community and build that foundation and that network. So when things like, when the good times come back, basically, like you are set up. You have you have those connections. You didn't spend all that time fighting and butting heads with everyone else, but yeah, you are at the top.
Exactly. And it's like the extra amount of bread, is not worth kind of making a relationship salty or burning a bridge or anything like that. It's like always, always put the relationships first, man. I'm telling you guys, this is what has worked for me in the past, and I guarantee this is what has worked for Mike as well. And I know it's not easy at all times, because we are artists, and you guys know the saying, starving artists and shit. And so it's tough. It's tough, man. It's tough. But I'm telling you guys, if you're able to, put the relationships above anything else, in the long run, when in reality that's how you should be playing anyways, it'll be so 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 much better. So yeah, it's a little piece of advice for the people listening in.
100%. That's why you see these like artist collectives, like Ministry of Art and stuff. Like that's why you see them kind of like riding out bull market, bear market, what have you. They're good. They're set because they have each other to rely on.
Exactly. Now, did you enter in a bear market or did you enter in a bull? Like when you were just first like kind of dabbling in.
It was. I mean, I guess you could call it either the tail end of the bull market or the beginning of the bear market. Like like Sol had already dropped like well past 200 by the time I came around, and it only kept dropping from there. But I got to get like a little taste of that bull market hype, like just when people were just like out there collecting art for the sake of like, oh, I like this art, I want it, and that really excited me. And it was kind of like a little sad to see things kind of quiet up a little bit, like see some of the artists I'd really made connections with, like kind of like step back from the space. But getting to know the artists who have stuck around with me, like that, there's such a powerful connection there, like instantly already.
Yeah, man, I definitely relate. I feel like I came in around the same time where it's like I got like a 1 week of like, oh wow, this is cool, this is amazing, and then like the rest is just like falling, falling, falling. I'm just like, holy crap. But I was like, by then I was like, well, I had already announced that I'm here. Like it's too late to go back. You know what I mean? I'm here. I'm here for the long run.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound, or whatever they say. Like, it's yeah. At a certain point, like, it's not even about making those like big sales. Like, you got to look at some of it as like a long term investment. Like, I mean, I haven't pulled out a lot of soul myself or anything, but it's it is like just kind of wild to have like a space and an audience that's like receptive to my art and like my artistic journey and like my growth. And like that alone, like as cheesy as it sounds or as cliche as it sounds, like that is pretty dope and that is like super meaningful to me, even like beyond making any money.
Yeah, what this feels like, and this just popped into my head. By the way, I know it's gonna be like a semi weird analogy, but this feels like, us artists in this space, we were getting ready to make like this huge performance, right? So I used to dance. I used to be a breakdancer, and so, picture this. A bunch of breakdancers, aka artists, getting together, had practiced for so many months, right, perfecting the moves, their craft, and as they pull the curtains, all they see is like 10 people in the audience. And then, the whole group of performers slowly starts to like, okay, I'm leaving. And the strong performers, the strong artists who are still here, showing up, busting out their moves. They're like, nah, bro. Like, I know it's a small audience, but like, I got this. I know my moves are fire. I'm gonna stay. So it feels like all the other kind of like people are brushing off, right? Just going to the shadows, and only the strong are up there, bro, still performing for those 10 people because they know that's gonna spread one day, and all of a sudden it's gonna be 100, 1,000, a million, and guess who's gonna be in the front being remembered? Yep, the ones that stuck around.
That's exactly it. That's yeah, nailed it on the head. That's exactly what it feels like.
So, if you're one of those people who are still busting out these moves with me and Mike, let me give you a little clap for that. Because it's definitely not easy, fam. Like, sometimes it's just like, dude, yeah, this is scary. This is like, you're just putting yourself out there, and like, you know, the odds are against you, and you're still putting yourself out there. So, it takes balls, man.
And like this is like the time to like really go wild with your moves, right? Like if you slip up and mess something up, like you're not in front of that big audience. So like this is the time to like learn and like grow and like really kind of steel yourself and hone your skills and like, be prepared for when that audience comes back because they will come back.
Exactly, exactly. And I feel like so many people have it the opposite way, right? It's like by the time the audience is already bad, they're like, wait, I got moves too. It's like, bro, it's already too late. You know, like the odds of you sneaking into that front line, it's like bare minimum to none. This is the time right now.
This is the time. If I like ran away, like I never would have like really taken that deep dive into comics. I never would have like honed my illustration style and like really kind of like, made like an iconic like visual for myself. I never would have got to know all of these like 80 artists who joined this project with me. I never would have gotten to like get them together in this like Avengers Assemble fucking moment. As like I never would have been able to like pave that foundation for them or for myself or like anything.
Exactly, man. Ah, bro, it's so refreshing, and this is why I really love this space. And because every week we get like a new creative that hasn't been on the space, and it kind of reminds me that yo, there's still really dope people out here, you know, with similar beliefs and a similar mindset. Which being is like I just want to create, and I want the world to see what we're doing because I feel like it can impact them in a positive way. You know, everybody in here has a different message, like a different reason why we're creating art. And I feel like each one is just as important as the next. You know, so it's just really comes down to you and how much you want it. You know, how much do you want it to be a reality that, you know, this is you and you want the people to really know who you is.
That's exactly it, man. Like we are like a wildly like diverse crew out here. Like I've met people in countries that like I probably never would have met if I never really showed up in the Web3 space. And it doesn't really matter if you're driven by like money or like wanting to spread your message or make an impact or just like that creative need to like create art. Like we are all here like kind of united through like our need and our drive to create. And yeah, it's a wild community. It's a wild community.
Yeah, like I really want to see people doing more in real life events, and I know it's not as easy to do because obviously we're all spread all over the world. But like, I would just love for some way somehow to get like the majority of creatives from this space into one place, you know, like a big ass warehouse or something, and to just have the whole thing set up with art installations, you know, like a whole ass vibe. I feel like, bro, the energy in there will be like no other, guaranteed.
Dude, that would be so sick. Like my like real life has been so busy lately that I haven't been able to like make it out to any of these NFT events, but like we've had a few like metaverse events with Third Land and Foster and Coda for Dissonance for the comic. And like if we could just like translate just like one of those into like this real life like warehouse show like you're talking about, and if I could get all the artists from Dissonance there in person, like that would be just like something I would remember till like the day I died, you know?
100%, man. I would get my ticket. I would be there without a doubt. And I guess if nobody's gonna do it, one dope kids has to do it, you know. And so that's really something that we're striving to do, man. To have these in real life events around the world that are just mind blowing. It just leaves people with like, bro, I can't even believe that this is here type of vibe. because I know we can do it. It just takes time and obviously resources, and then the community to be able to be like, yo, I believe in that. I want to see that come to life. And so we're in that phase. And we're in that phase of just, all right, let's show up and show the people what we're about, what we're trying to do, who we are connected to, right? And then it's like, let's make this shit happen.
Totally. I mean, shit, I believe it. I want to see it happen. I'm one of those people.
Let's talk about, because I was looking here on your page, I was creeping, and then the irony that I want to talk about creeps. Let's talk about that a bit.
Yeah. Um, so like generative PFP art is what kind of like backdoored me into the space, just seeing like, bullshit like bored apes like selling for a ton of money and me just being like, being an outsider, not knowing what on earth is going on in the NFT community at the time. It's like, I can do that. And there is like a whole like community aspect to it that I didn't understand. So my first collection did not sell a single piece, but through that I discovered the Solana art scene, and that's really where like my roots in Web3 started. But just like the desire to do a generative collection was always there. It just sounds fun to me. Like it's kind of just like a wild idea to like make all these different pieces, these different layers that like overlap and create unique pieces of like randomized art. Like I think that's so cool, and I know it has become very much like a degen thing, and the sort of culture there is focused around like flipping and making money and this and that. But there is sort of an artistic quality to it, and I think we're starting to see more and more like generative art like come back, which is really cool. But yeah, I really wanted to do it, and then an opportunity popped, so I jumped on it and did it. And yeah, creeps are kind of like this like character I've had in my mind for years, like well before Web3. And yeah, I just went with it. I always wanted to introduce creeps to this world, so I did it.
And how has it been, aside everything that you're doing, kind of having that community as well, to feed, right? Because the way I see it, the way I see all projects, it's really about, what type of energy does a founder have, and what is he or she trying to do within the world? Like what's the reason for even having a project at all? And so, like, how has that been for you to kind of carry on this community as well, at the same time?
Yeah, it's a little strange because it's such like a mixed bag. Like a lot of like my previous like art collectors were like, "Oh, this is just like a really accessible entry point to collect more of transitory stuff." So they picked up a bunch. Some people who have been wanting to collect something of mine as like an opportunity to get something at like an accessible entry point price. But then it also got the attention of that like degen crowd who like didn't maybe fully understand that like this is an art project. No empty promises of utility. There's no like I don't know, alpha discord. Like collect it because you like the art. So I never tried to set that expectation of like flipping it for a profit, and some people were able to do that like early on. Like now I'm sure the floor price is so low that like you could scoop up like a dozen of them for pennies. But I kind of like that because I want more people to collect my art if they want it. So yeah, the creeps community is like like a little disconnected and like a real big like mixed bag. But yeah, there is more coming with the creeps later. Like their characters I'd like to introduce to some of my comics, and creeps holders will get like some benefits, like some free drops from that. So yeah, it's different kind of looking over that community. But I like it because it gives me a different perspective outside of just like my Web3 art bubble.
Yeah, and the way that I've kind of come to understand it all and at least digest it is that to be in the generative space, with a pretty big collection, you need a team, man. You absolutely need a team because I feel like that is the fastest pace of within this environment, like this space, right? The one-on-one space, it's a little bit slower, but it's still very, very, very fast compared to like to the traditional route. But it's not as hectic as having a generative type of project. Um, and so for anybody who's like listening in on this right now and is like thinking about doing one or the other or whatever, I feel like it's important for them to understand what they're truly getting themselves into, right? Because at the end of the day, a generative project in my eyes is like you do have some type of fiduciary duty to like show up and make sure that you're letting the people, the holders, know that this stuff is being built. At least we're going places. And I feel like when you tie it with an artist in particular, it's a little bit clearer to deliver that message because it's like you said, you're telling your collectors, hey, like this is really an entry point into collecting my work, right? And so they see it a little bit differently as opposed to just like, oh, PFP copped. What's the floor price? So now I'm able to see that transition happening. But in the beginning, like when I first entered the space, it definitely wasn't even like that. Like I remember when I entered, projects weren't even asking one-on-one artists to do one-on-one art for them. Like that hadn't even existed yet. And so to kind of see that transition happening, and then like all of a sudden now we have like this world where it's kind of common to have artists collaborate with generative projects and vice versa, so it's really cool to see that. But like it's you got to know what you're getting yourself into, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you definitely do. Um, and I think kind of like setting that expectation up front, like, letting people know in like a public space, like this is what this project is about. So that, if someone collects it and they're expecting something else, like they have no room to be upset. At the end of the day, it is on the collector to sort of like do their own research as well. But yeah, either way, that is an exciting development that you mentioned with like artists getting more involved with these like big team led generative projects, right? Like Creeps was an art project, but it opens the door to like the idea of like you don't have to get some artist off of Fiverr to just like crank out some poorly drawn JPEGs of monkeys to sell out your mint. Like you can have really good art attached to it, even if the art isn't like the main draw, even if it is like, that degen flipping or some sort of utility you're promising or just the community in general. Like your PFP is your like identity out here. It's like it's your face. I guess for you it's literally your face, but like for a lot of people, like they become attached to these like illustrations, and it becomes more synonymous with them than even like their username. Like I've had people that I follow that have like changed their username and their handle, but like I still know it's them because they have that same PFP. So yeah, I think the art is important.
Yeah, man. Definitely hit it on the nail right there. And this is the time. Actually, looking at the time, bro, we have like 8 minutes left. It's crazy. I'm telling you, these go by so fast when we're like so in tune, right? And so right now in the audience, if anybody has a question or a statement, this is the time to raise your hand, come to the stage as we begin to close it off. But bro, this is dope, man. Like after this, I'm gonna really take the time to like digest the full comic because I got like about halfways, and it's just a really sick idea, dude. And I think guarantee other artists will start to do this as well in their own way, and I think that's really cool because just like you mentioned, with the art and the PFPs, it's a way for us to communicate to the world. It's a way for us to kind of show the world what we're about, and tell our stories, what we believe, what we're into, or like what's happening in the current times, right? And so I think it's important, man. I think it's important to have people have these outlets, right, to express themselves. Because at the end of the day, when you really pull back everything, it's all about expression.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's like kind of one of the central themes of the comic. So yeah, I really encourage people to go check it out. Check it out for the story. Check it out for the art. The NFTs that you'll be minting are variant covers done by myself and the artist on the team with the 94 like one of one art pieces that each artist did for the panels mixed in there as like the most rare pieces, like the mythic quality. You could get that one of one piece by one of your favorite artists from the comic.
And shout out to Jay, man, because Jay, so he's I would say it's like our lead team member within the project, and he's the one that put me on to your work and to your stuff. He's a collector as well, and so kind of seeing him and the way his eye has been guiding me towards really dope art, and not just that, but like people that I really resonate with, right? Like he's been able to pinpoint, like, yo, that'll be like a perfect fit for ODK. And bro, he's been 100% right the whole time. And I'm just like, dude, this is insane. Like all the people that I've interviewed on this space, I will legit kick it with. And not only that, like become friends with in real life just based on the vibes and like their mindset. So shout out to Jay one time, man.
Yo, appreciate you, Jay. After this, we got to connect. You and me, Jay. You and me too, Andrew. We got to like,
Oh,
I don't
100%,
know.
bro.
We got to chat with you guys some more.
Yeah, this is just the beginning, and I love that. I love that for every creator that comes on. It's like it's just opening the doors to like what's possible in the near future because we're not going nowhere, bro. We're not going to stop building, and so I can only imagine all the stuff that we start rolling out and like all the different type of opportunities that we're going to have for artists in particular. Like, bro, it's about to be insane.
Hell yeah. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
All right, brother. So, all that being said, it's time to close it out, and nobody wants to come up here. All good. I hope everybody has been vibing. I do like to close it out with one last question, right? Or actually, before that, let us know, is there anything, I know you just dropped, but is there anything that you're planning on dropping like the next couple of weeks, month, or so?
Maybe I got a few things cooking that uh maybe some physical wearables that I'm working on with someone. Um, yeah, and a few other
Okay,
things. A
okay.
few other things. I'm a little secretive with it, keeping it close to my chest.
Yeah, I feel that, man. It's like, dude, complete most of it and then like finally announce it and launch it. I feel like, especially in this space, that's the way, bro, because there's no other way, man. It's like if you announce something and you're either late or whatever, like it can just kind of like diminish and put like a negative spin to stuff. And so that comes with experience, though, right? Being in the space and kind of seeing how people are and how they react to certain things. So yeah, looking forward to that, bro. Definitely keep us posted at ODK. And all right, man. This is the last question right here. So, transitory mask, aka Mike, aka King Creep, aka your friend. Bro, if you can go back in time and have 10 minutes to speak to young Transitory Mask, what would you tell him?
Oh man, that's a deep question. Uh, I guess I would say, you know, keep on the path. Shit's not always going to be easy. A lot of times it's going to be hard, and you're going to like, internalize a lot of shit and keep it to yourself because you're a reserved little dude. But you know, keep going, and there's a lot of good times ahead, and you'll come to learn that the good times come and go in waves, and they'll just keep on coming.
All right, brother. I love that. It has been an absolute pleasure. Like you mentioned, let's definitely keep in touch. Chop it up with Jay. He'll connect us with certain things, and we'll just make some stuff happen, bro. It's a definite. And so, with that, I want to wish everybody in this audience right now an absolute perfect Friday going into the weekend. Have fun, stay safe, and apologies because I did not realize that my mic, for whatever reason, wasn't connected properly. So the audio must have not been that great for this space. But we'll fix it for the next one because we do this every single Friday. usually right around the same time. And yeah, Mike, is there any last words you want to tell to the people?
Uh, Nothing that I haven't already mentioned. Go pick up a copy of Dissonance. You won't regret it. You'll be supporting over 80 incredible artists from the space, from multiple blockchains. And yeah, thank you, Andrew, and thank you, One Dope Kids, for having me on here.